How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I have been talking about Bitcoin for a very long time. Most of my videos are specific on Bitcoin, but today I wanted to go into what cryptos I think are good values for the next bull run and what I'm invested into, because I am very heavy into Bitcoin, but I also have some other bets that I'm placing. So I'm going to be going through my top 5 cryptos. There's going to be some nuance too with how I look at different positions, what I think about cash, what I think about leverage trading and all that kind of stuff as well. But I'm going to be hitting on 5 cryptos that I think you should be paying attention to for the next bull run. Keep in mind, I've been around in the market for years. This is a pretty awesome time, in my opinion, to be in the market because we have so much good news coming through. We have Bitcoin near all-time highs, so I think it's time to revisit some altcoins. If you don't mind, hit subscribe. Turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Let me know if you like these videos down below in the comment section. Also, one thing that I have been doing that I've been stressing, that if you are a trader or if you're someone that wants to go put long positions in, if you want to leverage trade, now's the time to do it. You can see I had a lot of positions opened in this lower $60,000 range. Also, I did take some profits from positions I had on these dips, and we were actually able to make a good amount. One, I think we cashed out at 800% profit because we were really aggressive with it. If you want to leverage trade, this is something I think can be part of a well-balanced portfolio. Do this with a little bit of your portfolio and then keep the rest in spot. I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm saying that's what you can do. When there's such obvious technical analysis that shows you that, it's most likely very bullish for Bitcoin, I think it makes sense to put in a long position. Of course, you can use stop losses and all that kind of stuff to minimize your downside. You can do take profits as well. But look, 3 higher lows, 3 higher highs, and then another push up to a new higher high. We're right at all-time highs yesterday. So this is being recorded on Wednesday. Maybe you're seeing it Thursday or Friday or Saturday. But this so far looks extremely bullish. Of course, there are a lot of catalysts in the next few days that could make the market quite volatile. But if you want to trade around these volatile events, you can check out the link down below to Margex. And on that platform, you can also bet on the US elections, which is interesting. You can just hit US elections, and then you can actually put money on Trump or Harris, and then if you're right, you get paid out. Now in the title, I might say that you have like 4 hours left or 6 hours left or 4 days, whatever it is. I think there are always big catalysts that have been happening. It seems like every day we've been getting big news, and people feel like they have a lot of time. Like every number is arbitrary because, Bitcoin just moves slowly and you have a lot of time to buy. That's not the case. It moves slowly, then all of a sudden it runs away from you and you never get it at the same price. That's how it works. So sometimes I throw little arbitrary numbers. Now, I might throw 4 hours in the title because 4 hours from now, the market closes. We figure out how much Bitcoin BlackRock bought today. And they bought 8,000, 9,000 Bitcoin yesterday. They just relentlessly buy. I might say, 6 days. You have 6 days because that's when the elections are done and there's less uncertainty. There are a lot of catalysts happening over the next week, so you don't want to tune out. There's a lot of things happening, and you don't have as much time as you may think to be able to buy into some of these cryptos that we're talking about here today. Okay, so let's start with where the crypto market is. We're hitting new all-time highs, or very close to all-time highs. This has been an awesome year for crypto. There's been a lot of regulation that's turned more pro-crypto in the US. There are presidents that are talking about, presidential candidates that are talking about adding Bitcoin to the strategic reserve, never selling Bitcoin again, maybe even buying Bitcoin. There have been states that have been buying Bitcoin as part of their pension funds. There's been a huge push by Wall Street to get allocation to this kind of asset, and we've seen the Bitcoin ETFs now nearing in on 1 million Bitcoin here today. Now, I think that this is bound to continue because of the state of the economy. The economy does look pretty good. We are moving into a time of higher liquidity, more quantitative easing, lowered rates, election uncertainty will be cleared up here soon. And I think that's all very bullish. Now, of course, there's going to be volatility. Even recently, we saw drops of 25 to 30% several times. I do think that we're going to make moves up. I mean, even if we just take a look at the previous all-time high to all-time high of about 3.5, that would put us above $250,000 for this next bull run. So I would not be surprised if we see another big push, which means now it's still a decent time to be buying Bitcoin. Now, of course, I've been preaching to buy Bitcoin, of course, telling you to do your own due diligence, but I've been talking about buying Bitcoin for a long time. I bought throughout the entire bear market. So is this as good a time to buy as 18,000, 19,000? No, it's not. But also there's a lot more bullish sentiment right now. So people are more excited. There are more people tuning in to Bitcoin. If you are buying right now, you have to understand though that we can fall down. Like if you're investing and you have to use this money in 2 months or 5 months or a year, this is not a good asset class to invest in because it's so volatile. This is not a US Treasury. This is not a savings account. This isn't Google stock. This isn't VOO. You have to be able to invest and sit on it for literally 4 years. If you buy at the wrong time, you can be down on your Bitcoin for 3 to 4 years. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, I think we're going to go up, but you have to be ready for anything. Make sure that you understand where we are in the cycle. We're maybe halfway through. If we have a similar cycle to what we've had before, some people think we're just going to go up forever because of these Bitcoin ETFs. And I could see how we wouldn't have quite as much of a dip in the future. Instead of 75 or 80% dips, maybe we see 50, 60% dips. And then we see a 40 to 50%. And then continues to get swallowed up as the market cap gets bigger. But at this point, I still think we're going to see large dips. I mean, even just the NASDAQ, which is much bigger than Bitcoin and more diversified, it still took a 30% dip or so in 2022. So I'm thinking we'll still get big dips in the future, but now might not be the worst time to allocate. Now I have a video actually on my home screen for my channel that explains whether now is a good time to be buying Bitcoin or whether you should wait. And it gives a little bit more nuance than what I'm talking about here. But I think if you're looking at different cryptos to buy, you have to consider Bitcoin. Of course, there should be an altcoin season. This is where Bitcoin's value in relation to altcoins goes down. Maybe the price of Bitcoin still goes up in US dollars, but Bitcoin goes up 50% and altcoins go up 100% on average, something like that. I still think, though, weighting down your portfolio with Bitcoin makes sense. Allocating towards Bitcoin might make sense. This whole list is for people that are bullish on the market. Of course, if you're bearish on the market, you might just want to sit in cash. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm saying, though, that if you are bearish, it wouldn't make much sense to watch the top cryptos to buy video at this point. But as you can see, like Bitcoin has just performed very well recently. And a lot of this is due to the ETFs just swallowing up a ton of Bitcoin and reigniting the demand for Bitcoin. And there's no more supply than what's going to be created. So Bitcoin's done pretty well over the last year. It's up 106.7%. So weighting down the portfolio with Bitcoin, will it give you a 10x return over the next year? Probably not, but will it give you stable returns that are probably better risk-adjusted returns than the rest of crypto? Maybe. Now, of course, though, we are going to see more ETF, more buys from the ETFs. So some people make the case that maybe Bitcoin dominance stays relatively high this cycle because they don't have access to buy into other cryptocurrencies. Sure, they're the Ethereum ETFs. Maybe there'll be a Solana ETF at some point in the future, but there's regulatory clarity for Bitcoin. And this is how hedge funds get exposure. This is how pensions get exposure to crypto. They buy Bitcoin. They're not going to buy Polygon, for example, right? They don't have access to it. So some people think that Bitcoin returns might be better than people expect. So Bitcoin, number one on the list. I guess we should cover some Bitcoin proxies as well, some stocks that trade kind of with Bitcoin. IBIT being one of them. This is the BlackRock spot ETF. A lot of people feel strongly that you shouldn't buy anything from an institution, that you should only self-custody and stuff like that. But I think for a variety of situations, it makes sense to buy something like this. This just trades at the value of Bitcoin. So if you buy $40 of this trust, it's essentially the cost of $40 of Bitcoin. There's a small fee. I think it's 0.25% each year. So if you hold this for 10 years, you're going to lose 2.5% of your value. but you don't have to custody it yourself. And I think there should be a premium on that. I think that makes sense because for some people, they just can't self-custody. They can't deal with that kind of security issue. Maybe they're in a rougher area, and if people find out that they have Bitcoin, maybe that's dangerous. Maybe it's that they can't actually perform good security. Maybe it's that they'll send it to the wrong place, something like that. Maybe you have money tied up in a 401k, in an old 401k, and you want to shift it over to IBIT. Maybe you want to take a loan against your portfolio. Maybe you want to play options. You want to sell calls or buy puts or something like that. You can do all that with IBIT, and it's much more difficult to near impossible with Bitcoin at this point. So I do think IBIT makes sense. Now, I've diversified some of my Bitcoin into IBIT, but not the whole position because there is always a bit of counterparty risk. Keep in mind, though, IBIT, BlackRock is one of the largest custodians, the largest custodian in the world. I think if it's safe anywhere, it's probably safe at BlackRock. Now, MicroStrategy is an interesting one too. And we'll get to other cryptos here in a second, but MicroStrategy, a lot of people know Michael Saylor. They were buying Bitcoin the entire bear market last cycle. They've been buying Bitcoin and now they're up about $9 billion in the profit. They have about $19 billion worth of Bitcoin, but the market cap is $51 billion. They trade at a premium, about 2.5 to 3x right now. That's because people are paying extra because MicroStrategy is able to issue debt and then buy more Bitcoin. I mean, just look at where it recently was on September 6th to now, it's up 122%. Bitcoin's not anywhere close to that. So people are paying a premium for MicroStrategy. Now, again, that's because they can buy more Bitcoin. At these prices, I don't want to add to my MicroStrategy portfolio just because, again, if you buy, let's say you buy $72,000 worth of MicroStrategy, you're only maybe getting $20,000 to $30,000 worth of Bitcoin. I'd rather just buy Bitcoin right now. I think this is kind of like a game within the game where if you can buy MicroStrategy at a good time, like during a bear market, it was actually trading at a discount to their net asset value. So you've been able to take advantage of Bitcoin's appreciation and the premium expansion of MicroStrategy. So that's how people have gotten a 20x return over the last couple of years in MicroStrategy. But they have gotten, a 4x on Bitcoin. Another thing you can do is trade Bitcoin mining stocks. I think there's a place for this too. I think it's a little bit less technical or a little bit less obvious than something like MicroStrategy where you can just see the net asset value go below 1. This is a little bit more, I think, sentiment based, honestly. Like when it seems like they can't do anything right, when we're in a bear market and this just is trading extremely cheap, this is where you pick this up. Right now, I do have some call options on CleanSpark, and I do hold the shares as well. Actually, everything that I talk about today, I hold some position in. But I am not allocating to this more right now because these are quite volatile. They do a lot of dilution, and right now it is up a lot from the bottom. I'm just waiting to take some profits on this during the bull run. But I'm not selling now either. Now moving on to other cryptos. Solana. Okay, Solana has looked very bullish this entire bull run. From the bottom, it's up 20x. Okay, it went all the way down to $8 during the FTX collapse. But there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of technical bullish momentum as well. The charts look really good with a lot of support around 120. We're up at 175. So the top end of this range, a lot of this is going to come down to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can break out, Solana should be able to break out as well out of this downtrend, maybe even retest this prior resistance as support, just like Bitcoin, and then continue moving up. I've seen a lot of people calling for $500-$600 Solana. Some people saying even based on the fibs, maybe we could see something as high as like 2,000. That's a big jump from here. That would be over 10x. But I do think we're going to see, a $400, $500, $600 Solana this bull run. I don't think that's asking that much, honestly. That would put it, 520 would put it at about twice the price that was last bull market. Of course, that was buoyed a little bit by FTX, but I still think Solana has a lot of room left to run when you compare it to something like Ethereum, right? Ethereum has underperformed this entire bull run so far, and Solana, if it was at a $700 price, would be the same as Ethereum's market cap right now. So Ethereum could go and double, barely breaking what it did last cycle. I'm not saying that's going to do that, but even if it did that, it'd still be twice the size of Solana. So I could see something like that playing out where Solana moves up to what Ethereum's market cap is now. I don't think that's crazy by any means. I think you have to look at Ethereum. I know this has been terrible recently, but at the peak of the last cycle, it went up to 0.887. Ethereum versus Bitcoin valuation. Now it's at 0.037. So if we came back up to the same point, I'm not saying we will, but if we did, that would give Ethereum a 137% return. Plus, this would be multiplied by whatever Bitcoin does. So I don't know, let's say Bitcoin gets up to 200,000. It does basically a triple from here. And then Ethereum would do 137% better than that. So Bitcoin does a 3x, we're looking at Ethereum maybe a 7x. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to do that, but even if it just came up to, 0.05, that would be a 34% outperformance versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still going to do well. So I think you have to look at something like Ethereum. It's also the only asset that you can buy through ETFs, really, through spot ETFs besides Bitcoin. So let's say some ETFs want more exposure to crypto. Maybe they turn to Ethereum. Right now, the sentiment's pretty bad, though. It's just been multiple years of downtrend. But that's typically when I think it's a decent time to be buying assets. It's when no one really likes them that much, but they're still prominent. They still have history of times like this, like last cycle. In 2019, the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation went down to half what it is today, less than half what it is today, 0.016. So even if Bitcoin stayed at the same price and Ethereum went and got cut in half, it'd still be above the bottom ETH Bitcoin price back from this cycle. But then it went all the way up to 0.088. Again, we're seeing less of a dip this cycle, so maybe we see less of a pump, but yeah, we could still see some outperformance from Ethereum just because it's lagged so badly recently. And I do think Bitcoin dominance will come down over the next year. We still probably will see it move up a little bit further. But as you can see, Bitcoin dominance has been spiking up from 39%, hit 39% several times, 38% right in this range. And it's moved all the way up to 60%, I think, with quantitative easing, with the rate cuts coming. I think that Bitcoin dominance would make sense to maybe peter out and fall down, which is why we're looking at alts in the first place. Ethereum, like I said, it could be a big winner with some ETH ETF products available down the road if we get into a time where Bitcoin dominance is falling down and we start to see people get a little bit greedier. Now, another crypto that I hold that's a little bit further down on the risk spectrum is CoreDAO. Let me actually pull up CoreDAO price right now so you can get a feel for how large this crypto is. It's around a $824 million market cap. So it's large, it's top 100, but it's kind of down the list. You can actually see there's a company that I've talked about several times on the channel. This company itself, DeFi Technologies, is up 4,500% over the last 5 years. And even just from about a year ago, it is up about 25x. But they actually recently bought Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They bought Solana as well for their balance sheet. And they added CoreDAO, this token, to their treasury. This, keep in mind, is a fairly large company. I believe they're around 100, 200 million in market cap. Could be wrong on that. Might have moved since last time I looked. But they are buying 1.5 million Core tokens and plan to participate in Core's staking facility, which enhances yield opportunities and contributes to network security, further diversifying the company's income streams and strengthening its position in the DeFi ecosystem. Keep in mind that 1.5 million tokens is around $1.4 million, something like that right now. So this is something that I've added to my portfolio, and I have a relatively large position in it. Also, I hold TARS protocol. Now, the ticker's TAI. Let me just pull that up so you can get an idea for how large this is. This is a smaller market cap, about 73 million. This is much more volatile. I mean, look, like we're seeing swings of 100% pretty frequently. But this is one that I've invested into too. A lot of people are looking at AI for this next cycle, and this is a smaller AI play. But Ash Crypto kind of explains what it is. TAI is the AI infrastructure backed by the Solana Foundation, introducing powerful data mining, AI assistants, GPUs, and computing. Their goal is to be the intersection for Solana AI. As we talked about Solana, I think something on Solana would make a lot of sense in the AI space. And then we should talk about cash. Cash, cold hard cash. Cash is king. Cash is trash. What do I think about it? Well, I do think that cash in a bull run feels stupid. It feels stupid in the moment because you're like, oh, I could have put this all into TARS AI and then it goes up 10x or something like that. And maybe you have 10% of your portfolio in cash, and then you just feel like an idiot. But on the other side, if we do go through turbulence, it's nice to know that you have some firepower. If Bitcoin drops down to 50,000 and everyone's screaming that's falling down, that's going to fall down further, but you're sitting there thinking, well, there's still a lot of bullish news. I still think there are a lot of bullish catalysts. Maybe now is a good time to DCA. It can keep you sane to have some cash. A lot of people, they get really nervous and end up pulling money out of investments at bad times because they get too nervous. Well, you could still be nervous, but you think, well, I can take advantage of this dip because I have the cash, and then you put more money into the market and it keeps you sane. I think it makes sense to hold some cash even during the bull run. Now, do I want to be 50% cash? No, at least not now. Maybe at the end of the bull run, maybe I'll be there. But I do think it makes sense to have some cash. Again, I wouldn't try to get half your portfolio in cash or anything like that. I think largely the best time to be investing has been over the last year and a half, 2 years. And right now is kind of where you want the majority of your allocation to be in crypto. There's still opportunities, and there are going to be opportunities for trading and for smaller cryptos in the future where you can get in and out. But I wouldn't be sitting there waiting to allocate a bunch of capital and just be waiting on the sidelines with a bunch of cash. No, I think if anything, if you have cash right now, you put a little bit to the side, and then you should be gaining cash throughout this bull run. Like, you should be scaling out, in my mind, as the time goes on. What you don't want to do is sit through the entire bull run, continue to invest cash from your day job, from odd jobs, all that kind of stuff, continue to be swelling up because the narrative is so good. It seems like everything's going well, and then all of a sudden we drop 50%. The altcoins drop 70, 80%, but it doesn't happen all at one time. It happens in stages. We see a bit of a dip, and then you're like, oh, I should invest because this is just the last dip before the mega god candle. Just like here, back in the last bull run, when we came up to 48.50, people thought, well, we're going to go right back up to new all-time highs. I mean, even if you look at this from a broader perspective, like if you were looking at this chart, you think, okay, higher lows, multiple higher lows, higher highs, we're just going to take off again. But no, that's not how it works. We fall down. So you have to respect the cycle. You have to be able to take profits even when it's uncomfortable. I almost feel like you have to feel dumb when you're taking profits, because that's when you should be taking profits. When it feels like you should be all in on the market is typically a good time to be scaling out, maybe. And of course, you have to take other things into account. Like, I'm not scaling out right now of my core positions because we're within about 5% of the last cycle's all-time highs. I think that's maybe a little bit dumb, but at the same time, I do feel like, it's a good time to be not all in on the market, but very heavy into this market. So there's part of me that's like, well, it would make sense by my own logic to take profits, but based on where we are in the cycle, I don't think it makes sense. But this might change. If we go up to 90 or 100,000 and altcoins are popping off, I think it might make sense to take some profits. Of course, you have to do your own research. Let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section, though. I think it also depends on your own situation, right? If you're 22 years old, you have a good income, maybe you have a couple $1,000s in crypto now, maybe you make $5,000, $10,000. Maybe that's life-changing money. Maybe you should scale out, but maybe you're thinking, well, I want to really get aggressive with this to make a large amount in the future. But a lot of it comes down to your mindset, because maybe you're thinking, no, I could take that $5,000 or $10,000 that I made in crypto and I could reinvest into myself. I could get some certification. I could get a new job. I could invest in my own business. So that is life-changing money, because it can help me exponentially grow over the next 40 years of income. So it all is going to be dependent on your own situation, on your own mindset as well. I'm in a different position from you, and you're in a different position than the next person that watches this video. So make sure you do your own research. Make sure you lay out a plan ahead of time, so that way you're comfortable with whatever happens, right? You have to be comfortable if we fall down. You have to be comfortable if we fly up in price. You have to kind of be sitting on the fence there, happy in either situation, in my opinion, because otherwise you can drive yourself crazy with the volatility of crypto. I also think it makes sense to diversify outside of crypto, either with real estate or with equities as well. Of course, though, do your own due diligence. I really appreciate you guys watching. I think there's a lot of information covered in this, and I want to hear what your favorite cryptos are down below in the comment section. Also, let me know what you're drinking today. For me, just some water, but I was drinking some coffee earlier. Let me know what you're drinking down below in the comment section. And if you want to trade crypto, there's a link to Margex underneath. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.